I'd say so I really appreciate and I recognize your ability with visual arts. Yeah,
Hmm.
because that's a skill I don't have. That's a skill I don't
Okay.
have. I'm better with words.
Well,
I
well,
do
well, well,
words.
whatever we're doing
Yeah.
together, whatever we'll
I'm a,
build together, you'll start putting that on your walls. I'll be expecting to see our projects on your
sure.
walls
Yeah.
so we can like advertise to them whenever we're doing other
Let's
stuff.
see progress.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that. Yeah. So first, thank you for coming. Just jump in right now. And this is I Know Great People. So thank you for
Sure.
participating in this, and thank y'all who are watching this. So my intention with this is to share information about what people do versus what we think they do. And I want to bridge the gap between perception and knowledge, as I believe the more we know about ourselves, the greater the things that we can accomplish. And also one of the underlying things with this that I've been getting a lot of people come on and been talking to more friends about this idea that I've had for some time. I just also kind of want to show off to the rest of the world about all the cool people I know and have them meet the other cool people I know and have the cool people they know meet other cool people and we just connect and network and grow things this way. So the way this works is I ask them questions, they answer, and we talk and we just go with it. So we'll open up here and thank you, Shaun. I guess you expanded your name more in what we're talking about. So first question, what is your name, the occupation or pastime that is going to be the subject of this conversation, and how do we know each other?
All right. Okay. Good. And thank you. It's really my honor to be invited to this show. I mean, great people.
Yeah.
I I hope by the end of this it will be. I mean, yeah, I'll meet more great people. Actually, that's one of the reasons why
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. So my name is I'm God's Sean. I'm God's Sean. Yeah, and that's because I'm the Sean who belongs to God. Like everything about me is belongs to God. I'm a spiritual being having a human
Editing Silas here. There was internet issues, but I'll try my best to piece this together. Shaun said he'd be able to come back and record another one if it was too bad, but I think I'll manage it. So bear with us,
experience.
please. Thank you.
So that's me. That's one piece for me. Um, and I say that because so it started off when I was a kid. When I was a child, I loved planes. I loved flying. I loved machines. And so went to when I went to university, actually, no, not really university. I think at some point of time when I was growing up as a teenager, we made a deal with my mom. She said, if you want to be a pilot, you gotta go to uni first. You gotta go study. Because I did actually I wanted to be a pilot, I wanted to be a rally driver. So yeah, I mean, I had a bunch of ideas. So I ended up yeah, I was just excited about everything. So I went to flying school and I have a professional pilot's license. So I can actually
Oh,
fly three
wow.
aircraft, a Cessna 172, 152. But and then I actually went into university and actually studied information systems and technology. So I have an IT degree as well, which gives me an above average, it gives me really good understanding of technology. Like just before this, I was watching a video about AI and well, so let me say about some of the hype that has been sold that's beyond what the capabilities
Yeah.
actually are. So understand AI. And then I'm also an entrepreneur. I've opened a number of businesses, and right now actually I'm running one. And then I studied marketing as well, the Chartered Institute of Marketing. And I've also been actually with Fritz at Landmark. I've done Landmark. I have been a coach on a number of occasions. So I'm actually a trained coach
Hmm.
as well. So sometimes when and that's why I'm answering the question of what do I do? It's like I realize I how I relate to myself is I'm a steward. I'm a steward because I have multiple talents. I have multiple talents and gifts, and these days I own them. I'm like, yeah, I can't do all these things. And essentially, what I'd say I do at the end of it is I solve problems. I enjoy solving problems. I enjoy creating value. Yeah, and I've worked in agency for 13, 14 years. Have different capacities, account manager and strategy, leadership. So strategy is actually something also I'm really good at. And storytelling. I feel like I've said so many things. And yeah, so that's
No,
why I
it's
say
okay.
steward.
That's
The
what this is
steward
about. This is the
yeah,
kind of
covers
people you're going to
everything.
be
I'm a
on.
steward.
Soon we're
Yeah.
going to have Shaun come on to talk about every single thing that he's mentioned there, every specific thing he's mentioned there. We will have him on, and I know great people to talk about those in particular. But today he mentioned Fritz. Also, Fritz, Fritz told me he doesn't really do interviews, but he has said he will come, he will make an exception and join I Know Great People.
Awesome.
So soon, whenever you listen to this in the near future, you'll be able to click and find other episodes of Shaun talking about all these other things that he's done. And also you'll be able to meet Fritz. And Fritz introduced us recently. And mostly because I was talking about starting my storytelling studio, which the stuff behind me is part of that, and a lot of other things I've been doing. If you all have been following this channel at all, you've been seeing some of the stuff, and I Know Great People is a key part of that. Just getting the lived experiences of people to tell their stories is going to be a key part of that storytelling studio that we're going to be starting. And Shaun is going to be helping me in that in some capacity because like part of what I want to do is gaming and getting into just the industry here in Kenya. And Shaun has had experience marketing gaming to Kenya for quite a number of years. And that's kind of going to be the primary thing we'll focus on here. But of course, we're loose. It's not like a job interview where you stick to one thing. It's a thing where you're loose, and all these other things we'll touch into. So yeah, just tell us a bit about your background in the gaming industry.
The gaming industry. Wow, that's good. Yeah, that's a great place to go. Yes, and so first, I am a gamer. I enjoy. Right now, I'm playing Marvel Rivals, Mecha Break, and I think I have a couple of games I've downloaded. I just need to sit down and actually figure
I don't
out
know. Libraries are deep.
what I'm gonna play next. Yeah. Yeah, and but I enjoy games, and I enjoy all sorts of games. I enjoy board games. I enjoy physical games. I'm actually also quite physical. I like rock climbing. I like go-karting, things like that. So I like to play. Essentially, I should say I love to play. I love to play. In fact, I call myself the king of play. Yeah. So video games. My journey with video games started in the goodness, was that the 90s with an Atari, an Atari,
Yeah,
which was like
same
one
here.
joystick and like an orange button. you know.
It was red.
Yeah. Oh
Yours might
yeah.
have been red. Yours
Yeah.
might have been orange. Mine was red. I remember that. It's like yeah, with the screen with the two or three pixels, the racing game where like the fog would come in, like just like it
Yep.
was.
Yep.
But it was amazing stuff. It was good stuff. Just here at North Stream, close to where that's where I'm living now. Yeah,
It
yeah,
was. It was. Yeah. Aja, Lotus, like yeah, some of those old games. That's why my journey with the gaming started. And I enjoy the games. And then at some point as a teenager, I traveled to my family and I traveled to Singapore and we saw like it looks like a cyber cafe with like gaming lounges and rigs set up where people were playing games and with headphones on and I wanted them to leave me there. I was like, I have found my people, I have found my home. Just leave me here. But that was one of the things that sparked inspiration for me and made me think, what would it be like if we did that back home? What if we did back home? And that's what led me to opening my first video game lounge near my house. Um, in 2006. It was super early. Let me say it was super early. And I learned a lot of good lessons about the market and business and the fact that just because it's your passion doesn't mean it
hmm
will make money. Yeah. So that's kind of where I started actually with video games. I'm from a commercial perspective, and I did want to bring people together and grow that back then. But the internet was not very good back then. I mean,
yeah.
I grew up in the time when there was dial-up internet. I remember downloading games with LimeWire.
Let's not talk about those dark times. Let's not bring those times up.
Yeah, yeah, that was a, yes, that was a woo, those are sometimes, but yeah. So let me say I made the right mistakes, yeah, and I chose to learn from them, and like we were talking about this, Silas, that there's a number of people who have a number of players who've showed up in the industry right now, like in Kenya,
Mhm.
we have an esports government body right now, and there's
What?
some
I
work
never know
they're
that.
doing in that space, and oh yeah, yeah. There's actually a government entity like for esports specifically.
Yeah, but like I
They've been yeah, doing the pictures, taking people around,
okay.
to France. Yep.
Okay, something to be aware of, but with my experience,
Sorry, I thought you were gonna ask me a question.
no. I'm saying it's something to be aware of, but with my experience, like with this,
Mhm.
it's like it's there, but let's not. We won't rely on it, which is part of why I'm looking forward to. I'm great to meet people like you because in many cases you rely, okay, why isn't the government doing this? And this is something I realized some time back. Just regular sports in general, like you look at a place like America that has very successful
Mhm.
sports, many professional sporting things. There's no Ministry of Sports there. There's just like the ability for people
Mhm.
to generate and create those leagues. And then now that's the same thing here. The government might be able to provide some support, but if anything, it will impede things. But we have creators like you, things like I'm trying to do instead of focusing on what to do out there. Let's see what we can grow here. And
Yeah.
it's people like you who would do that, who would not, people like you had to break into the industry and establish it before the government saw like, okay, there's something we can join, we can join here. They're not the initiators or creators of it. They're not the prime movies or things like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's not necessarily I'd say, and I like that point actually. Now, maybe what I can now also say about that is this is where now actually after the lack of success with a couple of the gaming businesses that I started, I
Mhm.
then decided to go into agency advertising because I mean, my passion has been gaming most of my life, but I was like, so how do you monetize this thing? How can I monetize this thing? And that's how I ended up in agency. And I think agency is a really brilliant place because you're right in the middle of, on one side, you have the brands, the people producing the products and services. And then on the other side, you have the consumers, the
Yeah.
customers, who are buying and consuming the products. So we are facilitating that relationship. And that's, I think, one of the things that really gave me a lot of excellent experience with different brands. I've worked with Safaricom, I've worked with Coca-Cola across Africa. I did Coca-Cola, a number of brands across Africa. I've worked with Safaricom on a couple of stints, and that we've done a number of really brilliant campaigns over this since 2019 I started with Safaricom. Yeah, 2019. So I've done
Okay.
some brilliant campaigns there, and it helped me to understand that the missing piece was how do you create value for both parties, not just one, for all parties and actually all stakeholders who are involved in this situation.
Mhm.
So that's a bit about me and gaming. So I have tried many things, and like
Yeah.
I said, it, it has been I have learned very many lessons, some degree of alignment. If you want to build something long term and sustainable, you do need quite a lot of alignment to be able to move in the same direction. And I think there's a lot of potential in, let me say, first of all, Kenya. Kenya has a really
Mhm.
high tech
Yeah.
adoption by the youth, and there are very many. And
Yes.
then also the internet connection, so people can consume the content. I mean, because like a gamer like me, I watch some games and stuff. In fact, when I'm playing my Marvel Rivals, I need to go watch tutorials to see
Mhm.
who's playing better than me, so that I can beat the guys who I'm gonna play with. Yeah. So there's like this whole ecosystem that's possible, and I like what you talked about. In other countries, there's coaches, there's tournaments, there's leagues. That kind of structure is definitely required, and I think that's one of the things that's been missing in, let me say, in the African context.
Mhm. Okay, so now the second question is this. So
Yeah.
with what you've done with your marketing creativity from people, and that's another thing just in general, also just increasing the valuation of people to understand the value added aspect of art, of creativity, because this is something with my background in animation and graphic design. When I came back to Kenya after being out for some time in like 2010, I was like, there's no industry here. But my mentality was negative at that point. Instead of thinking, then create the network, create the industry. That was around the same time you were like, let me try it, let me test out this gaming, like the gaming lounge. And
Yeah.
I met,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let me go back out, let me set something up. But no, you can do something here, you can build that thing here. But it's still a situation where I understood. Like I walk around and you see those people with kind of those shacks on the side of the road selling food, and you have people from full on like white collar workers. They come down from their skyscraper buildings and they have the dinner there. They eat their lunch there. They eat their food there. These people are netting money. It's a
Yep.
successful business. But someone like that, there's almost hardly a way you can pitch to them that it makes sense to design a logo and have menus because they're known, they're there already. So it took me some time to break down the learning and teaching I had of graphic design and animation and websites coming more in like a Western in the States and Italy and thinking about those markets, how that would work versus how do you do it in a developing nation market, in a growing market? How do you say, okay, these people are people that you're not going to get, but you can find a way to reach these people. So that whole aspect of just marketing creativity, marketing art, and to me, gaming is one of the peak versions of communicating through art So with rambling a bit, but
Yeah.
with the background, with that in mind, so what are 2 to 3 things somebody might like about what you do, which is the experience of trying to sell the value of art to a developing market, to a developing country like this? I don't know if that's too nebulous a question.
Like the way you framed it even from a, design and creative perspective. Because I think the challenge that sometimes occurs in this market is understanding of the value. Does somebody understand the value? And because there needs to be that understanding of the value for somebody to be willing to pay for it. Because like you said, if it's a place where people are an eatery where people are coming from their offices to come and eat their lunch and everything, and you're trying to tell somebody to get a logo, and there's value in it. You're telling them you're creating a brand. You're creating a brand, and then you can, in fact, if you tell them if you create a brand, you can charge more. Then
Yeah.
it's how do you package it in a way that they understand that this is something of value and this is something that I can take on that will move me forward towards where I want to go. Yeah. So the two or three things I'd say they're empathy led. I'm very empathy led, and what that means for me is I listen. I listen, and I want to find out what is your problem, not my problem. What is my customer's problem, and what's their life like? What's a day in their life? And I learned this really cool thing from working with Cook, where you focus on the occasion. Yeah, you focus on the occasion. So, for example, we've talked about the lunchtime, yeah, when people are coming to eat. That's a very specific time. Somebody is hungry, they're looking for food. So if I focus on that specific area, then I'll better understand what are your lunch needs. Is this somebody who maybe has a wife at home who would pack for them food, and that would be competition to this little shop? Or is this a bachelor who maybe has cooked like once for like the whole weekend, so they need something for lunch? Or is this somebody who just forgot their lunch or just doesn't have the time? So when I have a better understanding of what the exact problem is and what the situation, the context of the person and the customer actually is, then it's much more efficient to design a solution. Yeah. So listening is one of the things that I do that it's what grounds what I do. It's what grounds what I do. Because my abilities are to solve the problems, but they're not my problems. And then a second thing that I like to do, that someone would like about how I work, is I make it a practice to do my best to make complex things simple. I try. I do my best. Yeah. And also to ask questions and check in for feedback. Like, did that land? Did that make sense to you? If not, then let's go at it again. Let me take for you. It doesn't matter what value I create. If the person who I'm creating it for does not get it, then it won't go anywhere. So there's a couple of things I'd say.
All right. Hmm. So now, again, this is the thing, like selling people for the games, because this is one thing that I've seen, even in Italy, this is one thing that I did see that was different from, let's say, America, for example, where in Italy, cartoons were mostly for kids. Like it wasn't, it's definitely nowhere close to something like you see in Japan, where anime, manga. Like you have the top CEOs of Toyota will have their particular manga that some of them they've been reading, like One Piece has been going on for so long. People can read it since they were kids. But there's so many genres, so many sorts of stories, so many sorts of experiences that are told through the animation, through manga, through gaming. That in some places that's a thing that's just part of what they do. They don't say that's just for kids. So with that in mind, like assuming there's some challenges, so what are 2 to 3 things that somebody might dislike about what you do, or the experience that you had trying to sell people that, hey, this is valuable, or just going through that process? What are some of the things that, if somebody wants to do what you're doing, they should be aware of that you're going to come against these walls? Or I've experienced these walls in the past. You can also tell us how you broke down those walls, and maybe they're not there, and the people coming in can thank you for having broke down the walls in the past. So just 2 to 3 things that, for your past experience and your current experience, that you find challenging from what you're doing, marketing, creativity to the market.
Awesome. Okay, brilliant, brilliant question. And One Piece. I'm a One Piece fan. Yeah, I'm
Do you think it's in the final
really
arc
bad.
finally? Do you read the manga or just the anime? Which one? Both?
Anime. I used to do anime, then I'd read the manga when there's a break, but I was like, I
Uh,
didn't want to spoil. I didn't want to spoil. So I said,
okay.
let me just wait for the anime. Until
Uh,
now we've gone to the movies era, just like
yeah.
Demon Slayer and everyone. But I'm like, okay, I'll wait. I'll wait.
I'm a
Yeah.
manga guy. Even
But
just
yeah,
before we had this, 6 o'clock every Sunday,
uh,
Manga Plus drops the new one. So I had that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna save that till after the interview. Then I'm gonna then I'm gonna read it. I do it, yeah, like immediately. Yeah.
I get it. I get it. I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oof. Yeah. I think I mean, I wouldn't mind reading the manga, but maybe after I watch the anime. But yeah,
It's
anyway,
it's
but
close
I get your
now.
point, and I like what you said. It's close.
They've
They're
done
just
well
there.
because what arc are you've just gotten to the Giants.
Just finished Egghead.
He's Egghead just finished, right? Have you moved on to the to
Egghead just
Elbaf yet? Has they gone to Elbaf yet in the anime? No, I think they did go to
no, I
Elbaf because
just
I saw some clips of Robin meeting. So maybe, is that spoiler stuff? How far are you? Because maybe
yeah. They just leave in Elbaf. I haven't
okay,
even seen that. Yeah, I
okay,
haven't
okay,
even
okay.
seen
I
that.
think this season, I think the anime is
Yeah,
getting to Elbaf, but like
but
in
I know
yeah,
who Robin's gonna meet now that you said it.
yeah, okay, okay. I didn't spoil
Okay,
it for you. Okay,
okay.
all right, go ahead. So yeah, the challenges that people might
I
dislike
know
about
the
what you're
okay.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the challenges that people might dislike about working with me, first of all, my boundaries. I am unapologetic about my boundaries. And and I'd say people dislike that because fortunately, like I said, I've had some significant entrepreneurship experience since 2006. And I learned that I had to be even, and this is both personal and business. I became rigid about my boundaries because people would take advantage, whether it's intellectual property, whether it's your time, your resources, and they take and you see for them, they're gaining, you're losing. Ah, okay, I'm losing. Yeah. And it's like expected. And in this market, unfortunately, I'd say the business environment has been rather exploitative. It's dog eat dog. Like if I can take advantage of you and you won't see it, I'll just get away with it, and I'm not gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I learned that also because I've had some let me say I've had some court cases as well to follow up on money that people owe me and things like that.
Yeah.
And I also know that that process is I mean that's not where I want to spend my time, honestly. I'd rather spend my time creating the value here. Yeah. So I'm
That
hard about my
is
boundaries up front because I'd rather know, are we aligned? Are we heading in the same direction now than yeah. Mm.
and that is one
That is?
strange thing, especially in like a creative service field, something like this, where it's a lot of your
Okay.
thoughts and your experience and your feelings going to providing a service, providing something that is valuable but not as tangible. Like people are willing to just say like, okay, if I'm gonna buy
Yeah.
like a bottle of water, they'll go there and understand it's just somebody who got bottle, built a bottle, and then put the water in it. They understand the value that they're paying,
Yeah.
the 100 shillings directly for it, and they'll give that money before they even drink the water. They're okay with that. But then something comes to when you're doing something creative, when you're doing a service in that kind of way,
Yeah.
that
Yes.
there's more of you being put into it, but the people are not willing to take it as a transaction where they're
Yeah.
like it's ridiculous. It's annoying. It's a nuisance that people experience. Yeah, yeah. It's tough. It's
Yeah.
annoying. Yeah, and but yeah, just like you were saying, also like recently I was playing Dune, but we got a private server, and then there's a part of the game where after you play the first PvE area or the game, you can get into like a PvP server. I don't like PvP games mostly. Like when you go to those player versus player, I prefer co-op. I prefer player versus enemy stuff like that. But yeah, like it's tough. Imagine just entering a game and you're thinking, "Hey, I'm just going on my missions," and then all of a sudden, some other players are griefing you because they think it's a PvP. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff experience that you have here. I don't know. It's probably not unique to the Kenyan market, but there's fewer people,
Yeah.
as we talked about earlier before this, was a lot of people don't realize there's win-win situations you can be in if you actually cooperate,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to business. But
Yeah.
people just have that mentality that you have to be cutthroat. That's a zero sum game that only one person can achieve this thing and then it's going to be disappeared. But that's not the case. That's not the case at all.
Yes. Yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, and that's actually why how we ended up getting along because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you were I was like, oh, okay, you respect that. I was like, "Ah, okay, cool. I'm like, okay. And you see, as soon as that gate is passed, then I'm not worried anymore. I don't have to
Yeah.
overthink, and now we can just create value. You
Yeah.
know. So I love that. And now the second thing about what some people, I know some people don't like what possibly might not like that about this about me is I value accountability very highly, very highly. So that means is I hold you accountable for what you say you're gonna do, and I
Hmm.
hold myself. I mean, I hold myself accountable first, but I also hold you accountable. Yeah, and I follow through, and I'm like, yo, you said you're gonna do this. What's and timelines with regard to timelines, and I follow up, and then there's consequences after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I follow up a couple of times and we're not going anywhere, then I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe this is a waste of my time. I can let me find another way to do it, but I'll communicate. I will say this. I'm ending this because we've had these run-ins. I keep asking and it's not working out. And respectfully, I would like to let you be. It's fine.
Yeah.
You can do what you want to do. I'm gonna go in this direction because I'm not gonna spend my life chasing somebody for something that they said they were gonna do, or maybe yeah,
Even
just
that you're
allowing
doing
something
too
that they said they were
much.
not gonna
Even that that just shows
do.
that's now a
Yeah.
courtesy from you being who you are, because it's something I can tell from my lived experience of being in a worse place mentally, where I get with someone and I'm like, okay, I'm able to do this. I have the ability and skill to do the thing. I'll start the project, and then for just negative mentality and self-defeating sorts of patterns in my life, I just drop off. And in a few cases, the people just stop talking. And I didn't feel like the pain, you know, like because like you're the one who dropped off. You already showed them that you're okay with just stopping a plan without communicating. So why do they owe the communication back to you? Like you're actually going out of your way to give them conditions. But again, that probably goes closer to who you are because you're saying this is how you do. You're for communicating. So yeah, okay, I see where you're coming from because you're like, even though you're not doing this, I'm divorcing from this relationship off of the way your own standards of I need to communicate this for you. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it because that's something you value. So I can see it that way. But yeah, I know there's people who
Yes.
have been in that situation where they cut
Yep.
off and like, oh, you ghosted me. I'm like, no, you left. Like you already showed me you're okay with not communicating. So why should I communicate to you? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I let you go.
yeah. Next question.
And I noticed we have less than a minute. We have less than a minute.
Oh, we
We
do?
have
Yeah,
less than
you
a
actually you're
minute.
the one who knew it. Okay. So we'll be right back with the next question as we continue this great
We'll be right back
conversation.
after these messages.
Yes, there actually will be some messages. Okay.
Okay.
Editing Silas back. There was some miscommunications, as you can see, with the internet issues, but the messages are definitely there. And thanks to Fritz out there. By the time you're watching this, I might have wrangled Fritz onto I Know Great People already, but I was telling him about this opportunity I had and just wanting to get to gaming, want to get to these things. And he's like, oh, I have a friend, Shaun. He sounds like he'd be someone you should meet and talk to. And then he gets me in touch with Shaun. And then I message him on WhatsApp. Shaun gets to me, and then I'm like, okay, I need to get away from this whole not getting things going, just waiting for time to be right for X, Y, Z, and continuing that good positive energy that I've been having. I just got in touch with Shaun and told him about what I was doing. I Know Great People, and he jumped on this. So this conversation I'm having with Shaun is after maybe 3 days of knowing each other, from the introduction, me hitting him up on WhatsApp, and then we just set a day. He's like, yeah, let's jump in on this. So definitely going to be doing things. I've already posted the Derek one. So Derek is more a long-term friend who we matched on a lot of different things we wanted to do together. And we will be doing that stuff together. And now Shaun is probably going to jump in with that. Probably most definitely going to jump in with that. He already shared some of the things that he's done, some of the research he's done with the gaming here in Kenya. Anyway, it's just good stuff going on. Good. Can't speak. Good stuff going on. Back to the conversation. So this time, Shaun did the great job of reminding me that I was recording. So unlike the previous conversation I had with Ken, where I didn't record the last three questions, this time we actually have the recording going, and we're back in with the next questions. So are there any occupations or pastimes that you
Mhm.
think are the opposite from what you do right now with the marketing, whether it's stuff you've done in the past or things you see out there that you think would be, yeah, anti what you do, or even if you think, I would not want to do that because that seems like completely against the goodness that
At
you're
our own
feeling
business.
from what you're doing. Yeah.
Mm. Ooh, man, that's a good question. And so I'm kind of I'm kind of chuckling because so I've worked in the advertising industry in Kenya for 13 years,
Mhm.
and I have seen things. I have seen things in the advertising industry,
The
and
horror, the horror.
oh, the horror! Hey, 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 woo! Yes, I really do mean the horror.
Yeah.
I've seen some horrors, but and I'd say there's a series I watched, Mad Men. Mad Men, is it Mad
Yeah,
Men?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mad Men. At some point in my past, and it really glorified the advertising days of, was it 70s, 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah, where I think the answer to every brief was a TV commercial. Like anything someone gives you, TV commercial, just TV. Man. And I think that's one of the things that appealed to me about the advertising world. I saw the lifestyle. I saw working with different industries because that's something that piqued my interest. Because
Uh-huh.
I would get bored. I would get bored if I did like the same thing every day. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to. I need something different to stimulate me. So that the reason why I laughed is I enjoy the and what we talked about creating value. I enjoy creating value. My challenge is usually the culture that's of the people. I mean, the environment I am in. Because if it's one of those, there isn't merit that's given where it's due, or whether there's any exploitation or any unfairness, or and I mean, in every organization, whenever a bunch of humans come together to do something, there's definitely going to be politics for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
But what I don't appreciate is the undercutting, the backbiting, the backstabbing, I really don't, I really can't, I really struggle with that. I really struggle with that. So that's what I'd say in terms of from an advertising perspective. But then if now to go back and say what's like the opposite for me, the opposite for me I think would be, and it feels like a jab to like that, but I was
No,
gonna
no,
say
no, no.
sometimes politics,
Yeah.
politics and politics like from politicians, because I don't believe politics by itself is a bad thing. I think there's a way you can have positive politics. You can use
Yeah.
your influence and your networks and your connections to further things, but there's a way you can use it to exploit others. I don't
Yes.
appreciate when, like let me say Kenyan political cycle. Every election cycle, politicians come and give people promises, and especially the underprivileged and the people who are really struggling. They come and give them promises. Hey, we're gonna come build roads. We're gonna you build dreams for people that are not even real. That you know you're not even gonna deliver on. Then
Mhm.
as soon as you're elected, oh, they'll see you 4 years or 5 years. Next election
Yeah.
cycle. That bothers me. That bothers me. Yeah. So that's what I'd say the opposite, because you have access to all this money, but you're just busy thinking of how do I siphon, how does this come back to me? What are the kickbacks I'm getting? That messes with my values. I am unable to engage in that manner. I hope
Yeah.
that explains it.
Yeah, we will definitely have you back on this because it's also now a sub series also with like the What is Art series that I have now. Because part of why I know great people is I want to get people on this, and
Yeah.
then I'll start announcing like a schedule of conversations that we'll have about a wide range of topics. Or if there's something you're interested in that you're like, hey, this would be cool. You could see somebody else in the network that you're like, I would like to talk to this about that person. Then we set it up. But one of the sub series I have going personally for my own desires, I'm a bit of a political junkie. I've been really into just the sociopolitics and sociology since I was a young kid and have kept that up. So I tie in some of that. And also, when I was creating the Carbon universe, I wanted to create a universe where the characters that I was creating were in the political positions in that universe, but I could still consider them good people. And that made me start to look more into
mm,
the political systems that we had. And I was like, none of these people are good people. So I was like, how do you be a good person and be involved in politics? That's part of what's been my background for it. But one of the sub-series I have is called What is Art? And a subsection in that is just a question right now, can politics be art? In the sense where you have like martial arts, you have the culinary arts, you have architecture as a type of art, you have all these wide range like animation, gaming is a type of art, is artistic gaming. But can politics itself be an art? I know you can use art for political propaganda or campaigns, but I'm wondering, can politics itself be discussed as an art? And we'll definitely have Shaun back on to talk about that. But one question you had about the challenges, especially here in Kenya, that I was not necessarily exposed to, and maybe it's just because I didn't really enter the business markets outside in other countries. I was still in college and that, and then in those kind of places. But one thing I noticed here is they still have the seniority thing, the elder thing, where someone is like, just because I'm older than you, I have higher status than you. I know more about you. And that is so incongruous to the world we live in today. Like I remember the first time coming back to Kenya after like 17 years out. I came back. My grandpa was no, it was my grandma's funeral, and there was some wazés from the village, and they were sitting there with my dad and my mom because they grew up with them. They grew up in the village, but then I'm a kid who was born in France, moved back to Kenya, moved to the States, coming back from Italy, and these wazés are there, like they still have their respect and status there, and they're like owed that because the people who lived in that area, by virtue of existing to that old age in that area, you had a lot more pertinent information about the way things were there, so that was earned respect. But me coming from abroad, I'm like, there's pretty much no information you have that is necessarily pertinent to my life, but they still held themselves with that status. And then now with technology, like we were talking about, we started with Atari. I'm getting into the gaming industry. There's stuff kids are doing these days that are just like going to blow me away. So for me to think just because I remember playing an Atari, I know more about gaming today than you, than a young kid who's been coding for 5, 10 years, who am I to have that position? But that's mentality is still there in Kenya from my experience in teaching and other places that I've been in touch with. And with the technology we have today, no, no, no. You are completely out of what is actually going on in Mosaic. I know you have the money, I know you have some status, but don't hold that level like you're so much better than everybody else who's younger than you. That's something that I've experienced. I don't know how much you've experienced that kind of dynamic. Okay, you dropped off. Conversation's going good, well. He's back.
I'm back.
Okay, good stuff.
Yeah. So I think I had the last thing I heard was you talking about the wazes when you are at the funeral and the status and respect that was expected just because they were from that area where the way they wanted to be treated was not necessarily based on merit. It was just like you almost have no voice in a way,
Yeah.
simply because they're older, and that just being, you know, and I'd say yes, that's a which is why when I said earlier about the cultural experience,
Okay.
there's people who view this different.
Okay. So now this next section, this is something that I have interest in because I also got in touch with you in order to get back into the gaming specific. Um, what are some of the misconceptions somebody might have about what you do, both in just marketing in your position right now, and also specifically with my great interest towards what are some misconceptions you had when you were starting the gaming lounge, with your mindset this is going to work. You weren't doing it because you thought it was not going to work. So, what are some of the misconceptions you had at that time that that were shown to be misconceptions once you actually tested the market?
Oh, good question. So I first I assumed that people understand gaming. I assumed people understand gaming. And I assumed it was going to make money because I was willing to pay for it. Because I'm willing to pay, for games. I assumed, it's gonna make money. Oh. Yeah, those are terrible assumptions. And then I assumed also that what else did I assume? I assumed it was just going to be straightforward,
Yeah.
like plug and play, and then off to the races.
Yeah, what's not to like? It's
Wow,
gaming.
yeah, that's a misconception. Yeah, I mean, just give me a minimum. What's it? Just plug it in, put in your controller, and you're playing. I mean, what it is? Yeah, I assume that, and I assumed also that actually building an industry out of this was gonna be simple. Yeah, I'd say, like I said, I have learned from making a lot of the right mistakes. In fact,
Mhm.
if there's any reason why I would recommend somebody working with me, it's because I have made all the mistakes that need to be made. So you don't have to do them again. You
Yeah.
don't have to do them again. You wanna start in the wrong place? I've done that. Target the wrong audience? I've done that. Work with the wrong partner who will con you? I've done that. Lost money? I've done that. Being gotten robbed, stolen from? I've done that.
Wow.
Yeah, like
The full gamut.
I've ticked boxes. Yeah. Yeah, I've made all the right mistakes. Or even maybe pitched ideas to brands with the expectation that you're gonna work together, and then they take the idea and do it with someone else. I've done that. So, you know, I've I've learned by, I guess, like I said, experience. It's actually the best teacher. And that's why I guess, like to my point earlier, I'm very unapologetic about especially my terms, my commercial terms,
Mhm.
because I have learned that there's actually there's so much value. There's a lot of value, like in terms of even working opportunities for people in the youth, any in the industry, and also commercial opportunities. Because I don't necessarily think commercial first. I think about how does this sustain? How does this give people opportunities? How does this give people dignified work opportunities? Because currently, across Africa, actually, a lot of the youth don't have dignified work opportunities because, like I said about our politicians, they are busy fighting about foreign aid and
Yeah.
whatever money they want to steal. So they aren't creating the governance structures that create the you know the conducive environment for job opportunities to be created. So we have a lot of young people who are qualified, but their jobs are not, they're just not being created, not being created. And that's very frustrating. That's why we have like rising crime rate. I was watching um, in the news, India, the cockroach movement, where they got the education minister to resign.
Yeah.
And I think the frustration, one of the frustrations was there's so many people who've graduated, they are qualified, but they're just no jobs. And then unfortunately, it's also the education system is slow in catching up to what the market actually needs. So by the time somebody is finishing high school and uni, the job you are training for is probably
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore. And then now with AI and how fast things are moving, yeah,
But that's
leaves a
definitely
lot
not
to be
something
desired.
alien. That's not something alien at all to Kenya, or it's not exclusive to Kenya. It's not exclusive to India. This is the same situation in America from my lived experience there, from my studying a lot of there. The student debt is like it's in trillions of dollars. I think it's over a trillion. It's a lot. I think it's like 1.7 trillion or something, the student debt, because they have that system where everybody's shoved through this machine into that, which is a great transition to the next question, which is tied in also to what I'm doing right now with Artiv Hub. Got a thing this week coming up where we're going to start doing studio visits, and they're at a location that actually train people in creative arts. And I want to put like an animation program in there. When I get the studio up and going, I want to do like some training of people. It's a thing where we need to go back to apprenticeship and teaching things in different ways instead of trying to adopt what is happening in other places in the world. Like I'm seeing now billboards for taking out loans to pay for your kids' school fees. I'm like, we need to avoid that. Stick to the Harambe thing. You get people to learn within
Yeah,
the funds that you have. Let's not put
yeah,
our kids into debt. Let's not adopt that. It's already failed in America. Kids are not able to actually operate in the market that is existing because the schools themselves, just like you're talking about the foreign aid, our politicians are
mhm,
serving them because that's who's paying them. So the
yes,
schools are also serving the governments because the welfare state in the United States of America is paying, they're not serving the students, they're not serving the parents. So it's a system like that where the incentives are all wrong. But anyway, Artiv is doing it in a different way. You're aware of different ways. So right now, if there's somebody watching this and they're looking to get into what you do, are there any courses, classes, or other forms of learning that specifically helped you in what you do, besides going through all the negative things yourself? And are there things that you missed and you suggest someone should do? And before answering, I just want to recognize that you had said something. I've done this. I've been robbed. I've made these mistakes. Instead of this happened to me, you're taking it from the point of view like you can go back and see what are the things that you missed that could have avoided those situations. You were taking agency, like you were an agent in those situations and not just like a victim that things happen to you. You were in that process, and you're the same person now, or you're a different person now that's not going to do that. So yeah, what are some of the things you learned besides getting robbed? What are some of the things you suggest somebody experience that and do right now?
That's a, whew. I feel like that's a multi-layered question, and I will
Yeah.
answer it as best I can. And I like what you said about some of I like the work that you talked about you're doing with I am native to, I don't know how you said I am native, but the creatives to
Oh
really
yeah.
create that community of people who engage with art and in that way and nurture that talent, which I think is actually quite important. I think as human beings, we love to create. So that that works for me. I'm all down for that. And then coming back to now what I have learned and what I can say to somebody who's watching this. First, there is no substitute for experience. As much as I can share lessons and everything, there's just some things you just kind of have to go and learn for yourself. There's a sort of balance in a way. And what I'd say is the approach I would recommend is first, talk to a mentor, figure out what they have learned, what they know, and then go try it yourself. And don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are part of life. In fact, it's where we learn. The One of my favorite ways of looking at learning in life is I see, walking. When you start walking is actually controlled falling. It's actually controlled falling. Because, I mean, if you're standing, you're standing. If you want to move in that direction, you start falling in this direction, then you catch it with one leg, and then you take the next step, and then you take it's controlled falling. But there is no other way to learn than to start moving. Yeah. And you get better the more you do it. So that's what I'd say. And then I had the fortune of doing a career test. Okay, I did it when I was about 27 because one of the challenges I had when growing up was, I was told, you're a really gifted child, you can do anything you want, but there's so many things to do, man. It's just so many things. Question
Yeah.
is, what do you like? And what do you actually want to do? Yeah, and what actually earns a living? Sometimes they're very different things. Sometimes they're very different things. And what does the market need? So it points you in so many different directions. And then with even the changing landscape and environment, I'd say it's kind of I'd say I would recommend taking it on as an adventure. And especially right now. My personal belief is the work we're doing now, everything we're doing now, we are building the future economy, the future for the next generation. I'm I'm I see my age mates like, okay, guys, our time is done. We need to be focusing on these young guys. This is who we are building for. We're building for the next generation. Because I want to do the kind of work that impacts generations. I want 7 generations down for people to be able to benefit from some of the things we are doing, like this, value for value, to pass on that culture and the lessons as well. The apprenticeship, I really like apprenticeship, which is what you spoke of, which I think is a much better way to learn than just going and sitting in school and studying and doing exams. I'm not the biggest fan of exams, I should say. I'm not the biggest
Yeah.
fan of exams.
Me either.
Yeah. I feel like it doesn't real world knowledge, I mean real world experience and the exam, you get fantastic grades. Okay, scholars and philosophers, fantastic. But for certain things,
Yeah. There's
the
certain
application
fields,
has to
most
be.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where practical, at the end of the day, did you communicate, like, especially when it comes to like the arts, the creative field? That's something I told with Rachel when you were talking about from Artiv. Like, at the end of the day, like, if you're teaching somebody to draw like a human being running,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, there's no test you're going to take. Can the person draw the human being at the end? They don't have to take these credits. They don't have to do this. They don't have to be in the class for 5 hours a week on Monday, Thursday, and Friday at a certain time. If they can come in and you can teach it to them in 30 minutes, you've taught it to them. If it needs to
Yeah.
take every single day for 5 hours a day and they're willing to pay for that time, it might take 3 months to do it. But at the end of the day, did you teach them how to draw a human being running? So even with some of the marketing, like if you're getting to the point you're trying to convince somebody this is valuable, somebody you might just be able to show them maybe say 2 or 3 paragraphs to them, show them some figures on some in some book, and they'll be like, okay, I can see the value proposition there, and then you do it. Some other people, you have to walk them through the store, design the thing for them, show them this other store that's working in the same way, show them the different ways that somebody's going to react to it, and then at that point they might get it. But at the end of the day, you still like need that experience of how were you as an individual able to speak to this other person as an individual about this specific thing at any given time. I think, yeah, that's a key part of that. And
Yep.
that's also one thing you said you had the back, you've been working at Safaricom, and Safaricom had this. It's for some of you who might be listening outside of Kenya. It's like the biggest telecom company. It's one of the biggest telecom companies in the world, but definitely the biggest one in sub-Saharan Africa. And they had this thing M-Pesa, which is like the mobile money system, and that is a system that for some of y'all abroad might know it more like Apple Pay type of stuff, and that some banks start to kind of do it. But in other countries, in developed countries, I think in part due to the fact that they had a history of banks, a history of credit cards, a history of checks, a history of oh yeah, well, yeah, so that kind of paper money, carrying that out a lot. That was built in for centuries in some places, decades. That wasn't here in Kenya, so they were able to adopt mobile money, I think the fastest of any country in the world. And now other countries are kind of taking that on because they were like, we don't have to do things like they were doing, like other countries do, because it's a new thing. People were not set into one ways of doing things. Mobile money was just a key thing. You could just send money to your granny at home. She could go to a kiosk, get the money out. It was something that even the older people adopted. And that's why I'm very upset to see things like the schooling system coming in being adopted like that instead of doing new ways. Let's just find new ways of doing things in the different reality that we have here in Kenya. And just in other places, you don't have to copy the mistakes. Just like you can work with Shaun and don't have to copy the mistakes he's made. Let's not look at other societies and other cultures and copy the mistakes that they have made as well. Yeah. To me, this is the most important question of this. Do you like cheese? And if yes, which ones and why? And if no, why
Yes.
you're a horrible person? Unless you're like lactose intolerant, then I feel sad for you. But otherwise, yeah, cheese. What cheeses do you like? Let's talk about cheese.
Man, no, man, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm a I eat cheese like I can eat a pound of cheese. I can eat a cheddar, like a cheddar, mozzarella. I don't know. I mean, I can start drooling thinking about the cheese I'm talking. I get pizza with extra cheese. I can get like cheese. Like, if you can give me like the cheese crust on
Yeah.
pizza and then put the toppings on top, I'm good. I'm good. Like, give me the cheese. I'm all about the cheese. You know, the rappers be like I'm a
Yeah.
cheese man. Cheese me.
They did bring that with Domino's here, but I remember when I was in the
Yeah.
States, like they used to have this cheesy bread thing where it's just like it's the Domino's pizza dough, but they just put cheese in it, fold it, put some cheese on it, and then they put more cheese on the top. That was like the cheesy bread thing that used to come. Yeah, for me, cheese is magnificent. Have you tried halloumi cheese?
Yeah.
It's something that too
Halloumi
many
cheese.
people have not tried. Too many people have not tried that halloumi. I just really like that you can fry it, you can roast it, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. And then yeah. Yeah, so now on to the last question of the main section. So anything else you would like to add about what you do? So the earnings, cost benefit analyses, the trade-offs, the relationships that you get while you're working in your position, or yeah, just tell us a bit about that. And also if you can tell me a bit about your the you did we talked about it not making money when you did the gaming lounge, but what are the relationships and the positive things or some of the things you learned from that experience?
Okay. I think yeah, so I'll start with talking about marketing and advertising. I'd say the advertising world has changed completely. It was changing for a while, but then 2020 came and accelerated it with a lot more digital adoption, and we're not going back. Like we're not
Yeah.
going back. We're just not. People consume media very differently, and I'd say unfortunately, given how large companies are, it takes them a while to adjust. Like if you notice the media companies which are closing down, maybe radio stations, TV stations, even newspapers, they're struggling to maintain revenues because there's just no consumption. People have shifted how they consume media. It's become digital.
Hmm.
And I know, like, even in advertising agencies, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. So I've worked in different disciplines in advertising. I've worked in creative. I've worked with PR. I've worked with events as well, retail, production. What else have I worked with? Yeah, so I've worked with all of them, including media. And I think media is where the biggest shift is where I have seen, where budgets in the past used to go to TV, radio, and sometimes they still do. But if you think about the return on your ad spend,
Yeah.
it's been a drastic drop. It's been a drastic drop because, for example, in Nairobi, one of the things I noticed, there's just an oversaturation of billboards. There are
Yeah.
so many
That-
billboards
That's something
everywhere.
that was so weird to me when I came
Like
back from being abroad. I'm just like, yo, why are there so many billboards? And they've just continued to grow and grow and grow. I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Who's actually like, I'm just wondering,
yeah.
like, what is the return on that? Who's actually driving on the road and sees a billboard and remembers it enough to go home and like purchase that, or do they expect you to see it so many times that like the next time you see it in the store, it sparks the 500 times you've driven by the billboard? Because it's like I walk a lot, but those billboards are situated where people are supposed to drive, and the people driving, it's either like you have a
I
driver,
don't
the
look,
matatu
you're not
people.
looking
Yeah,
at,
it's
you're looking.
yeah, it's not like you can't, especially the roads here in Kenya. You can't just be like looking around, flying on the road. No, you gotta be paying attention. Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. And to your point, the old way of selling, advertising in media was frequency. Oh, we have to see it 5 times, 6 times. Yo,
No.
like if every brand, like you said, all those billboards bombarding you with messages, that would make me buy. In fact, I just ignore it. I'll ignore it. In fact, it becomes a lot harder to get somebody's attention because of just the saturation.
Yeah.
So the marketing and advertising industry has completely shifted. It's more, in my view, it's more of a relational, long-term kind of thing where you're looking to build communities and you're looking to actually co-create the products with the audience. Because if you're not, then you're just creating stuff and yelling at customers, and they choose when to listen. Most of the time they're tuned out. It, there's very few, because like even if you can this ad finish, so I can continue with my life. Yeah. So that's completely shifted. So the advertising industry I know is also it's hard. Let me say change is not easy, especially
Mhm.
for 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 people who've been doing things in a certain way for so long. It's not easy to accept. And then now with AI coming in and everyone's
Yeah.
I guess rushing to figure out how to use to sell more of the same, which I don't think is solving the problem.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's that's my view about what I've also learned about advertising and I respect how it all works. For me, it all boils down to and I guess the lesson I've learned, we're human beings. It's about the relationship. It's not even attention or anything, it's the relationship. Are you nurturing the relationship? Are you
Mhm.
adding value both ways? Are you listening as a brand? Are you listening to what the customer and the consumer wants? And then as a customer, do you have value from this brand such that you feel like, okay, this is actually a brand I relate to. I can buy more from them. Because there does need to be that positive affinity to be able to consider the brand. So those are some of I'd say the lessons I've learned, which I'd say I've distilled it and made it very simple. And anyone in advertising might even fight issues. Then, what was the other question? Yeah, so essentially, that kind of encapsulates what I do. I said I do
Mhm.
coaching, I do consulting, and then I'm also the co-founder of a business called Hera Experiences, which is experiences based on love. We do gifts and bespoke experiences, meal prep, gifting. We can do birthday parties, we can do graduations, specific, budget. There's budget, and then there's bespoke. There's if you want something special, like if you want something anime themed, you want
Yeah.
something like One Piece themed, like what I would do for my birthday. One Piece themed. Let's come all dressed as One Piece. Yeah, we can do things like that. Yeah, then I also do consulting. Like I'm gonna be consulting with you on. I actually see such a great opportunity to build a community around the great people around you, because you're a great person. How do you create a community around them?
Yeah, we'll definitely be able to get some things going. Now we got to be going though because we're at the end of the recording here. So we'll be right back.
Yep.
One last break. So, thank y'all, first of all, for participating in this already just by listening to this. This project will not work without your participation and your help in this. This is a community project, people talking about their lived experience and listening to other people, then having conversations based off of being a part of I Know Great People. Another part of this participation is y'all starting your own threads or coming in and suggesting people to be part of this project. You can go to iknowgreatpeople.carbon33.com. That changes. I will change the way I will change the links to that. But for now, I probably have a forwarding, even if that changes to something else. Now, you can find more about this project there. You can find the other videos of people that have been on this project. And you can also find a fillable questionnaire if you want to participate and you're comfortable with only doing a text version. You can send that in, and then that ties you into this project. And then you could probably also be coming on for other conversations and adding more things about your life. That's kind of what I'm thinking with that. There's also audio and video versions. If you don't have a podcast of your own or a video platform of your own, there's a YouTube channel I've started for I Know Great People. So you can be sending those videos and audio to me, and I'll be posting it up there. And eventually I will get the separate podcast and find other means to do those things if you don't host them yourselves. If you are hosting it yourself, just tag us. If you're on YouTube, you can add us as collaborators. So there'll be ways to include you on the project, or just send me a link to, okay, this has been on the questionnaire and that. This is going to be a value for value project. I think having it open source in that way and crowdfunded in that way, by I watch No Agenda show in the morning to y'all. They have this thing called producers where you actually contribute time, talent, and treasure if you found this stuff valuable. So there's PayPal for now, but there'll be more ways to do that soon. Okay, back in.
And we're back.
Okay. Yeah, this time it's recording. It's recording. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So when you were talking about the things that ended around 2020, one thing I was observing in 2020 that was a positive from that whole pandemic mess that happened globally. First, just the general thing that it's the first global event. It's kind of like a Rosetta Stone thing that you can compare and contrast and see how different cultures, different societies, different people dealt with the same thing at the same time. That was the first thing I think globally happened that way, and we could track it. And it's not that long ago. It's 2026 now, so it just ended. The most of it ended 2024, 20 around there. So we haven't had time to absorb what happened during that time. But one of the positives was there's so many things that were going on due to momentum. There were so many things that were being propped up due to the systems. That's just the way things are done there. And then a lot of those things stopped. So post-pandemic, it was like, are we going to restart these things? There's a lot of things that were just going on in a certain way, and that's just the way things work, and it's the way you go into it. That now, when you had to like pitch it to people, like let's restart this, and people were like, no, I don't want to restart that. Like, there's no like built-in momentum for this. There's no buy-in. I'm not pot committed to this. You got to sell me to go back to this arrangement that we had before that was just going, and that's been a positive thing in so many different industries, in so many different ways, that we still are we'll be getting to know some of those things. I think it's going to take at least 10 years before we can actually look and see, okay, what are the new things that are happening? What are the things that are dead and gone forever? Because there's a lot of things being restarted that died. They died in 2020, but the people who are running these things don't know that completely died. They need to try and resuscitate it. Some things already just like, do not resuscitate. We're not going back already. So that's a positive thing in that sense. And then now, like you're saying, AI has come in. But just like you were talking about, like some of these people are jumping on AI thinking, we can just get AI to help us streamline and shove out the same things we were doing in the past. When no, on the contrary, I think it's an augmented interface that people who are more focused on human actions, human interaction, human value, they're the ones who are going to be able to benefit the most out of this, because people are going to be able to tell this is just AI. This is AI slop, as some people say. And some people will see this is augmented interface. Somebody has used this to improve. It's going to make the value of human actions even more valuable than the people who were doing such automated stuff in the past. That AI is easy to copy. If what you were doing was very automated in the past, very cookie cutter, AI is going to be able to do that. But if what you're doing is human, unique to you, has that touch, that one-on-one kind of interaction that human beings seek, and that's part of human thriving, then you're going to be thriving more in the future with use of AI and the new things that we're doing post pandemic. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And to that point, I want to add something. I think well, let me say you definitely be familiar with. You remember the dot-com bubble?
Yeah.
Remember Y2K crash? Y2K crash? Ah, man, my
That was
age is
wild.
showing.
People actually believed that was going to happen. I remember being worried. I remember being like, what's going to, like, I didn't even know about computers, but the little that I thought I knew actually worried me. I was like, what's going to happen? I'm like, it's so dumb. You could literally just move your computer to that year and wait like a few seconds and see it turn over and still work. Yet we were like panicking like it was going to like, yeah.
Yep, yep. There's a lot of lies, and well, let me say, I think that's one of the things I'd say I'm grateful for, to have a good understanding of technology, to know that sometimes it can be it's hype. It's
Mhm.
hype. Back then the hype was negative because it was like, oh, when the year turns 2000, everything's gonna crash,
Yeah.
which is negative hype. Now, unfortunately, AI, before this, I was just watching how an interview of Sam Altman at some point when you talk about OpenAI, I mean OpenAI, he's like, "Oh, we're going to build the AI, and then it's going to tell us how to be profitable." And I'm like,
Something
"What?"
about that guy, something about that guy is off. Like, like with Zuckerberg, they say he's kind of like robotic in some ways, and I think that's just more from just being very much in his head. But something about
Yeah,
Altman puts me off. There's something that's like it's like he's like the uncanny valley made human. Like there's just something off about that guy. I don't know what it is.
yeah,
Yeah. Even his name, Alt Man, it's like alternate
he's
man. He's like an alternate to man. It's just like it's so weird. But yeah, no. Some of these people are just pitching stuff. I understand they're pitchmen, they're trying to make money, they're trying, but the AI bubble is tough. It's not good.
unfortunately it's bursting as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
because you see,
fortunately, so it doesn't
this
grow too
AI
big. Let it burst now and let the actual market correct itself. I'm thinking the sooner the better.
now, and man, that's well stated. And here's why, for me, it lands as some degree of misfortune. So yes, it's good for the market correction. I'm definitely down for that. The reason I'm even wincing is the impact it will have on majority of the people who either invested in the stocks, on just the economy as a whole. I
Mhm.
think the AI bubble has been basically propping up the American economy in a way. Just
Yeah,
and then the way they've been doing it is they've just been moving money around between Nvidia and all these AI
yeah.
startups. So it's
Circle
not
investment, circular
exactly new
investment. Yeah,
value that's being created. Yeah, it's just going around. It's just going around. And then unfortunately now the regulators have caught up with it and they're like, wait, what is going on here? This is not. So it's good for the correction, but and to a point that you mentioned, which I liked, is that AI is a tool. It augments what you're already doing. It's not a solution in itself. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that reminds me of, I also enjoy history, and I've looked at different empires in different let me say in human history. And I remember the Roman Empire. Remember, Roman Empire had a lot of slaves and things, and you'd imagine that, if you have slaves, then um, people have time to do more. They do more creativity and everything. But what they did is just went to the Colosseum and watched entertainment and everything. It didn't solve the problem. They weren't creating any more value. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, the fall of the Roman Empire came because of just one thing: their currency. They started doing funny things, took it off the gold
yeah. The base of
standard,
the calorie.
started
Yeah, they debase the currency. Yeah,
exactly.
that's a key
And the
part of it.
states has unfortunately been doing that.
Yeah.
So now you see if we have those two things, we have the AI bubble, and then from 2020, the American economy, I mean, Federal Reserve was just printing currency, printing currency. So now you have a lot of currency that's just moving around and doesn't necessarily have any value tied to it. Plus, these guys have just been playing money, and then the music stops. And then unfortunately, just because of how the US dollar is what drives oil trade around the world, that crash is going to be
Yeah.
significant. It's going to be
I,
worldwide. I
there's,
genuinely
there's
am. I'm foreseeing. Yeah. Mhm.
there's probably going to be issues, but I'm not. I mean, this is stuff that had to happen eventually. Like I'm the kind of mentality where some of this stuff has to happen eventually, and there's worse times for this to happen. There's worse ways for these things to happen. Part of the positives is with the AI boom right now. At least one thing it has done, a change in the United States of America. It's changed some of the the catastrophizing that's going with like the anthropomorphic climate change, like people who are against reliable energy. So there's also been now a boom on building more energy, more power plants, because reliable energy is key to human flourishing. This guy, one of the people I mentioned before, who I agree, I understand why he cut off, because I was doing these small short animations for the Center of Industrial Progress. This guy Alex Epstein does these things where he's just making a case for how much reliable energy has played a part in the human flourishing that we have, and he's focused on human flourishing versus like what is our negative effect on nature. More like nature doesn't care about us, so how do we best go about making nature more conducive to human life? And there's this positive aspects with that as well. Like many of the negative things we think are in nature to humans and other life forms can be addressed by having more reliable energy. Like, so he makes a case of that. So I was doing some shorts. I went to his website and I took little things, little sayings and things that he would do, and I would record them and do some shorts and some animation, make some case for that. I contacted him. We were in talks, and then I just kind of dropped off. I made three of them, and I never made any more. Done some storyboards, kind of stopped off. That was my mentality at the time, and he just stopped being in touch. I don't feel bad with that. I'm gonna get those things back up and going. Once I have like 20 of them, I'll be like, okay, now I can get back in touch with them. But regardless, one thing that has happened is they have gotten to a point where they've said, okay, now we're going to drop this. We need nuclear. We need electric power. We need more successful power. And the advancements that have occurred in a lot of these industries, you can have a lot of clean energy that's not harming the society, not harming the environment, that's providing these things. And then you build more data centers. You build more accessibility of the internet communication. Like we're saying, we're having the internet issues here. Those things right now are being used. Okay, we need to build this up for AI. But even if AI drops, having more energy, having more data centers, having better connectivity is going to have many other uses. So certain kind of bubbles, like pets.com was one of the things where there's like one of the main things on the .com thing. If you have a website and you have all these websites online and people are investing so much in building these massive websites or focusing so much on their marketing on the internet, and then that bubble bursts, what's left? It's just dead websites. The web space is there, like you haven't built any infrastructure to support it. But when you have data centers, when you have more power, when you have more connectivity, whatever crash happens with the money being spent in the fiat currency being spent in there, the hardware that's built, that infrastructure that's built can be put to more productive uses. So I think like the crash will happen, but like whatever's come from the crash, the physical aspects of the things that were built there is still there. The people who are learning how to use AI, how to interact with these things, how to be more different from that pre-COVID lifestyle that we were living in, those skills that they're learning might not be directly creating AI things to create what we created in the past, but it's like what are the new things we're going to be doing with these things? So I think it's not going to be that bad in that sense. Yeah, that's my estimation. I could be wrong. We'll find out soon enough because the crash is here. You said the crash is ongoing. You said the crash is ongoing. We'll find out soon enough how bad it's going to be. It's going to be in our yeah. Okay.
It's the next ones.
Okay, so now we're done with like the main question here, and like thanks a lot for participating in this. And now we get to the last three. Now I switched sides a bit on this last one here, this last three here. So do you have any questions from me from just what we've talked about here? Yeah, any questions from me? They come to mind.
Yes, I do actually have a question for you. Silas, what do you want to be remembered for?
Actually, one of the foundational things is I want to be remembered for. In my estimation, I think like peaceful parenting and that plays such a key part to human flourishing. Like I think like I've seen some studies. I know IQ doesn't determine anything. It's kind of like a computer. Like if you have a computer with a certain amount of RAM, like I drive that can. We're talking about gaming. Okay, you have a 1590 or whatever, and then you have like a 1060, a 1090 like I have. We can both run Valheim, which runs like a 4 GB game. But then if you have the 1090, like I can also run Cyberpunk, which is like the definitive game for like testing out how good your rig is. So I can run Valheim, Cyberpunk on the lowest stats. Both computers will run Valheim pretty much the same. But Cyberpunk, I can only run it on pretty much the lowest stats. But if I have a 5090, I can run it on like max stats with like ray tracing, like 140 frames per second. But for me, on lower stats on my lower computer, I'm running it at like maybe like 14 frames per second. If there's action and stuff, it even chunks down to like a few single digit frames. So that IQ part gives you capacity to do certain things. Doesn't mean you're not able to experience life in certain ways, but your potential is different. Like it's like a muscle where it's like you can lift heavier stuff faster for longer if you're stronger. Whereas if you don't have those muscles, you'd have to break those things down into smaller chunks and still achieve moving something from one location to another. That's how I see IQ. And I've looked at the effects of how much IQ is affected by adverse childhoods, by the abuse people face as their kids, and how much civilizations and societies are affected by not this. We're talking about those win-win kind of environments where, as a kid, if you're raised in an environment where it's you're under that terror or that adverse childhood, you don't develop that trust in other people. Like we can both survive, we can both win, we can communicate, we can understand each other. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing at the core, that the storylines of increasing the importance of from childhood to adulthood, non-aggression principle, voluntary interactions, peaceful parenting. Those are things that are tied into all my storytelling, all my things. So those are some of the key things that I want to tell. Even one of the occasions I thought of, one of the projects that I wanted to do was I was walking to the gym in Parklands, and I saw some lady like hitting her kid on the side of the road. And I just went over there and like I was like, lady, like stop, like I could just walk by. Most people were walking by. And I went over there and they just said, stop doing this. Like, and I was thinking like previously I thought of this system with Carbon where it's like I switch worlds. I come to this world, they go to that world. But I was thinking you can have locations where now you set up different places where you can actually see that world, like have a 3D thing of the world, or you go to a place and you get a story occasion of the story because my characters have been there. This might be a bit convoluted in that sense, but when I saw that with that thing happening, I was like, forget just Carbon. Let's have a situation where you could be walking around in different places and you're tied into this network and you get a notification, oh, there's a story here. There's an experience here. You're tied into this storytelling network, like there's something that happened here. Where in that point, like I could publish the story that I had with that experience. And like when you're walking by that road, you can get a notification, something happened here with somebody in your network. And then I talk about the experience that I had stopping this lady. And maybe later on that kid could come in and see that and be like, remember that somebody stopped my mom from doing it. And maybe somebody else could see. I was just thinking of how many ways we can use communication. We can use the information that we have today and just improve the world in that way. So for me, it's just communicating more voluntary, collaborative relationships. And the key part of that is starting with the parenting as kids. That's something that I think would be great to be remembered for in that kind of sense. Yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful and very, very giving of you. I like that in terms of it sounds to me like generational, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. It's a long-term plan. Yeah. No, but it's key to human flourishing. I think it's the key to it. Like this, you look at the effects of adverse childhoods and the amount of trust it drops, the level of IQ that it drops in people. It's very dangerous, and I think it's a deciding factor, even in cultures or different people who live in similar areas. How were their childhoods? And you see a very, very strong correlation to happy, successful adulthood tied into like your childhood experiences. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, next question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have
Like
any
that.
questions for
Like that.
anyone else who might answer this questionnaire or maybe reading or listening to your answers? So now this is this to the community, people who might come on or people who are listening to you. Any questions for them that you probably come back and answer? If you ask a specific question, somebody might ask you a specific question, and are you open to coming back if there's like direct questions to you?
Open to being reached out to,
Okay.
specifically if it's business, coaching, networking, I'm completely open to that. Yeah. I I don't have a specific question at the moment.
You don't have to bring them
Yeah,
now.
but
Like this thing is open. Now you're part of the I Know Great People. You're part of the storytelling platform. You're part of this family. We're doing this stuff together. So whenever you feel the urge to, even if it's just one question, it's
okay.
in text, you can put it on the blog or you can record a video. We'll publish it up. We'll do whatever in that kind of situation. Okay. Now, the last
No.
thing, where is that guy? I don't have random questions yet. On this last question, now, if other people had asked random questions, let's say you'll come on later another time to talk about maybe you being a pilot. And then when it comes to this last sort question, it's like, would you like to take a random question or a requested question? At that time, when you come back to talk about being a pilot, maybe someone had a question for you. Then I would be like, okay, this is somebody who requested a question for you. And you would take that question then. I need to find the random question things that I have on here.
Ooh.
For now, I have these hypotheticals, which is questions for insane conversations. We already had such a great conversation,
Mm.
but now I'm gonna, if you're open to it, I'm gonna shuffle through these and we'll find one question and I'll ask it. You can answer it now, or you can take
Yeah.
time and record an answer and send it in, and then I'll edit it into the video. So you down for that?
Yep.
Okay.
Works for me. I'll
Let me
take a shot at
shuffle these.
answering it now.
Okay, let's shuffle these. Let's see where we're at. Some cards dropped. That's okay. 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 Forever 75 is the question. You celebrate your 75th birthday in good health. As far as you can tell, you are a spry, relatively normal 75-year-old. And this condition does not seem to change over time. When you celebrate your 80th birthday, you look and feel exactly as you did on your 75th. When you hit 90, you still look and feel 75. On your 100th birthday, you realize that most of your friends are now dead or dying, but physically, you are the same independent person you were 25 years ago. You hit age 110 with the same results. Every year, you are celebrating a new birthday without physically evolving beyond the age of 75. Doctors have no explanation of this inexplicable stasis. How old would you have to be before you would start to seriously believe that you are immortal?
Ah, oh, that's a good one. Because that setup is I'd be 110. Maybe if I go to 150, then
Yeah,
I'd be like, okay. I go to 150, then I'd be like, okay. Because I'm 40 now.
yeah.
I'm 40 now. So I'm like, yo, 150. That's
Yeah, we are both in the second half of our life,
that's
pretty much. Yeah. For me,
more than three times.
I think I would,
Yeah.
I think I would
It's more
probably
than three times.
know but it
Mhm.
depends on the sort of immortality. Like, is it immortal where you're like, yeah, with this situation, I would have to wonder, depends. Like, I'm pretty good with avoiding injuries, but even like just like small things, like I'll just get like a scar that used to heal up a lot faster, like now will scar up and leave a mark. You know, it used to be something where you just peel off the scab and then the skin will be back to normal
Mhm.
after a few months or even a month. Now it's like leaves a scar. So one thing I think that would help, like if I'm in that stasis where even if I like have a cut, my body heals exactly the same as it did when I was 75, when I'm 100, then I'd be like, okay, that's immortality. I think I would have started doing some tests also and things like that. Because I'd also be wondering, yeah, is it like you heal better? Are you like unable to kill like completely? Like are you unable to die completely? Like if you just fell in the ocean, you'd somehow survive without air,
Mhm.
like, or is it like you still have to keep yourself safe? But yeah, I think by that time I would have done some studies and done some tests and some introspection in myself where at that time I'd be like, yeah, it seems like I'm pretty much mortal. Yeah, this yeah. But now, would you want to be immortal? Let's add a question to this. Would you want to be immortal? I don't know if I would want to. And he's dropped off. But yeah, I don't know. What do y'all think out there as we wait for him to come back? What do y'all think out there? How long would it take for you to understand that you're immortal? Yeah. All right, back in. Okay, I think we can probably wind it down now. We've had a great conversation. First of many conversations we will be having. We'll definitely have Shaun back on for more
Mhm.
things about more topics. If you are watching this, you can request and see from this several things that Shaun talked about. Let me know in the comment section wherever you're watching this. which request, like what do you want Shaun back on to talk about? Like I'll definitely have him back on for different series that have different conversations, different topic matter. But yeah, so let us know. Anything else you want to say to the people, Shaun, as we sign off? Or as he signs off completely from it. Wait for Shaun to get back on for the goodbyes. That is a weird question.
And can you
Well, yeah. I think we'll
all
just sign
right.
off now. Well, yeah, we'll sign off now. Do you have anything else to say to the people as
Yep,
we
I'm
sign
here.
as we wind off? Well,
Um, just I wish you love and blessings, and thank you for listening to this conversation. It's been great. It's been great. Thank you for the opportunity, Silas. I've
no,
enjoyed the
thank you for
conversation. I look forward to creating value. Yeah.
yeah. No, thank you for definitely coming,
Peace.
Shaun.
Yep.
It's just good energy from Shaun. Like some of y'all might have known, I started this series way back when, and just recently I've just been on the drive. Thanks to someone like Fritz, like I said, he will be on this as well. And he's just been following the stuff that I'm doing. He's like, okay, here, talk to Shaun and do this. And just got in touch with Shaun on WhatsApp a few days ago. We hit it off well. I told him about when I'm doing this. He hopped on, and this is the kind of energy that we want. So if y'all are out there listening and you want to participate in I Know Great People, I know greatpeople.carbon33.com. You can check it out there. The questionnaire is there. If you want to come on and be interviewed by one of us, go ahead. You can hit us up. If not, you can take those questionnaires yourself and go out and interview people and start your own network. And we just all should connect this. Just tag us somehow, send me a link to it if you start it separately so we can tie it into the network. We just want to grow these things. So like every single thing we mention in this thing might lead to somebody else who's done that thing and you can expand on that. And that's how we'll grow this storytelling network of lived experiences. But yeah. So Shaun, thank you one more time. You can say goodbye to the peoples.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Peace.
Guys, gals, and everybody else in between, goodbye.
Okay, I'll do